Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Scoop Slam podcast. We are back, not this week with a weekly update, as we are reformatting. Last week we did record for a weekly update, but we had some issues going into that. So we are now reworking the podcast episode system, and I think it'll be better for us, not only us, but you guys as well. So now on, we're going to go to a Raw and Dynamite episode, and then a SmackDown and a Scoops of the Week episode, just to kind of split them up. That way, it's less for you guys to listen to all at one time. Instead of it being like a 3 hour, 3.5 hour episode, now it'll be two separate, hopefully two and then one, or, you know, two and a half, one, however it falls out of the wash or whatever. But just thought it'd be easier for you guys to listen to, as well as new listeners to kind of get into us, because 3 hours looks really daunting if you're not a big podcast listener, as well as editing and recording. It'll just make the whole process easier. So for this week, we're going over the August 15th Monday Night Raw and the August 17th AEW Dynamite. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, and his juices are titillated, and he's ready to be scoop slammed. It's Ryan.
Yo, took a week off, Micah, but finally we're back, and I'm just ready, willing, and Gable to be Scoop Slam.
Well, there's definitely a lot to unpack. With a solid Monday Night Raw, pretty good AEW Dynamite, and as the date of recording, there's a whole lot to unpack with that opening segment. But we'll open up with Monday
Oof.
Night Raw. And to start, we started with the Judgment Day making their way down to the ring. Rhea Ripley talked about Dom, saying that she's truly his poppy, and she crushed his soul week in and week out. Then she passes the mic on to Finn, as he talks about, his victory over Rey Mysterio from last week, who then passes the mic off to Priest, as he talks about what he's going to do to Edge next week, as they are going to be in Toronto, I believe, for Monday Night Raw.
Yes, sir.
And then he challenges Edge to come out if he's brave enough. And then he's like, oh, well, I forgot. It's too bad he's not here tonight. He's going over his last wishes with his family and friends in Canada. So Priest says that because he thinks that he's good enough to beat Edge on his own, he's not going to bring Finn and Rhea with him to their fight. And then randomly, Rey Mysterio comes from behind and cleans house as Rhea then bows up to him, and he has that kind of conflicting feeling. Obviously, he can't hit Rhea because she's a woman, and
This
then
made me mad.
yeah,
Bro, Rhea is twice his size, man. Hit that lady. Respectfully.
respectfully.
man, man, come on now. She done beat up your son for the last month, put him out of action, and Ray's conflicted about swinging the chair on him. Man, if that's my son, I'm just wailing away on Rhea. Forget that, man. It's 3-on-1 too.
Well, I do want to close up. Finn jumped in because Rhea standing in front to protect him, or as Rhea was protecting Finn. Priest then comes from behind and starts beating Ray up, and then Finn hits the coup de grace with a chair on his chest, and they stand tall at the end of the segment. I completely agree. I think Ray just needs to do it, man. Like, they've kind of handicapped themselves here because they can't hit Rhea. And what?
Why can't they?
Well,
Why? We're not okay. We're not advocating for women's violence, you guys. But at some point, when when you're getting beat up, when your son's getting beat up weekly, you got to stand up for him. Swing a chair on her. You can't do that. Just swing a one chair shot to the back.
I think the network might not like it. If it were me,
Then, if it was you, what about when they beat up Nia Jax? Did you
I
were you
wasn't
watching at
watching
that
them.
point where they RKO'd her and then Dolph Ziggler did the zigzag and Rey Mysterio 619 her when she entered the Royal Rumble that year. They
Jesus.
did that. Why couldn't they do that here?
Wait a minute. Yeah, you got a point. They have had women enter the Royal Rumble like Beth Phoenix. Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. I just got a great idea.
Oh,
Because
here
I
we
was
go.
about to say, they've really handicapped themselves here by having like Ray and Dom and Edge versus the Judgment Day and no good female to combat that. Because like at this point, Rhea's wrestling the men, which is fine because she looks good enough to do so. But they've got to either be able to hit her or have a female that can do that. And I have a great idea
What
when you
about Beth?
mentioned that's exactly what I was about to say. When you mentioned the Royal Rumble, I thought they should get Beth because like does Ray's daughter wrestle? I know she's been somewhat involved with the WWE.
No, she had that one weird angle with Buddy Murphy where it was a love angle when he was like, Buddy Buddy Murphy is like 33 years old and she was like 19, which was kind of weird. But that's like the only storyline stuff she's had.
Mm. I knew I had heard of her at some point. So I mean, Beth is believable enough to take down Rhea too.
Didn't
So
Rhea beat up his daughter in that backstage segment when they were celebrating his uh, 30 years or 20 years in the business?
I I think she did something to her. I don't know if she like necessarily beat her up, but I think she like pushed her out of the way and got Dom or something like that.
Ray Ray is a bad dad, man. He let all this ride and didn't take care of her with the steel chair when he had the chance.
Hey man, Eddie should have got custody.
Hey, man, me.
Me personally, I wouldn't let that slide. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Priest versus Edge. I'm glad they didn't do Finn
Yeah.
versus Edge. But overall, you know my feelings about the Judgment Day. But this was okay.
Yeah, I thought the promo was all right. I like Priest, and I don't know if they're setting up Rhea as being the leader, but I'm not hating it. It's definitely elevating Rhea. Balor's just kind of there. Well, actually, no. I think Balor was pretty good. I think he said some stuff that I like too. So I don't know. I'm not completely out on Judgment Day yet. I think they can still be something.
So next up for the first round matchup for the women's tag team titles, we had the team of Alexa Bliss and Asuka versus Doudrop and Nikki Ash. First, I just want to say this: does Clash at the Castle feel like a bigger show to you, or like a? I mean, I know it's a bigger show because it's a stadium show, but does it feel like kind of an old school pay per view? I don't know how to explain that, but do you get what I'm saying?
Mm, like what you mean? What you mean?
Something about like the graphics, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I did notice that. It does feel a little like 95 WWF.
Well, it kind of feels like maybe like a New Year's Revolution type, or maybe like Armageddon. It's just like less flashy and less like bright lights than they normally have for all their pay-per-views.
I thought you liked that. You said some of the stuff they overproduce you don't like.
No, no, no. I do like
Oh,
that.
okay,
That's what I'm
okay.
saying. Like I like that this pay-per-view feels more like wrestling centered, like a pay-per-view, not like a spectacle. I don't know how to put that into words, I guess, but I like this.
This may be like the last pay-per-view before the big reset. Because I'm sure Vince had this. I don't know Vince personally, but I'm sure he had this vision of Drew and Roman at Clash for months at before it happened. And this is probably the last thing he planned before, he got usurped out of power. So after Clash, we should see like more changes to the shows. I mean, we're having a lot of changes right now, but I can see them splitting up the brands like a hard brand split and a draft and some guys coming up from NXT, which it looks like they're building to that because I seen that NXT Heatwave show, and it seemed like some guys were getting called up, and some guys from NXT UK were making the jump to NXT proper. So I'm, this. Man, this might be the last big pay per view before the reset.
I would say WrestleMania because they plan the WrestleMania main events a year ahead of time, but with it being so far out, I really doubt that anything past this, like you said, is going to be Vince affected. What they need to do, and this is what bothers me about WWE drafts, I hate it. They they've done this forever where they just do this thing of like, five people get drafted and that's all you really see. Uh do they have a clear cut general manager between both brands or is it just Adam Pierce for both?
It was Adam Pierce for both. It used to be Sonya and Adam Pierce, but she, I don't remember how they made her step down. But yeah, right now it's Adam Pierce.
Okay. If this were me and I'm Triple H, okay, it's one thing to do it hokey, like that back in the day, but the fact of the matter is your most mainstream things today in all of the world, like especially television, is sports. Everybody watches the NBA draft, the NFL draft. I mean, me and you are big fans of the NBA and we like the NFL, occasionally. What they need to do, and this is my theory or proposal for the draft, don't do a wrestling show, really. Do a thing where it's you have a clear cut Raw general manager, a clear cut SmackDown general manager, and they both have a talent pool, and they pick from them, best to worst, or actually let them keep like 3 or 5 people on their roster. Everybody else goes up in the pool, so then that way your Roman or whatever can stay, and then it kind of gives them incentive, like, say the Raw general manager would want to keep a theory because they're kind of young, whereas they may pick a theory over a Kevin Owens because Kevin Owens is kind of older. But then seriously, have them go, okay, Raw pick one, SmackDown pick one, Raw pick
Okay,
two.
okay, so they have actually been doing it like that the last couple of years. I think the last draft they had Fox execs like in a war room and USA execs in the war room, and they actually did pick talent like that. But some of the names they were picking, they were already on that show, so it was like, well, I mean, are you really getting drafted if you're just staying on the same show? So they have actually been doing it like that, Micah. Especially during the first brand split, they had a complete pool to pick from. So yeah, we might get that. I'm not sure how they're gonna do this one.
Well, then that's my bad for not watching the product over the last few years. I just remember when I was a kid, like, you remember the
Yeah,
night John Cena
yeah,
got drafted to SmackDown and then back to Raw?
yeah. I do remember that, but they like changed it up since then. Like the '09, 2010 drafts were kind of underwhelming.
Yeah. And so I just always thought, like, you know, I know it's not a technical, full combat sport or whatever, but
It's
if
still real to me.
exactly. And don't insult me. Don't have five guys go over to the other brand. Make it a real split. Make it two distinct shows. Give them different stages.
So how they yes, absolutely on that. But how they did it the last time, they had Raw got 3 draft picks and SmackDown got 2 draft picks. So it was like that since Raw has an extra hour. So they did
That
it
makes
kind of,
sense.
yeah, they did it kind of like that. But the last draft they had, they drafted the guy. I forget his. Oh no, his name is Gable Steveson. They drafted him to Raw. Man, my man has not been seen. Like they wasted that draft pick on Gable Steveson. What they even draft him for?
So was it like they only got 3 picks, or was it like they got three, SmackDown gets two?
For each round, they had
Okay,
3 picks and then 2 picks and then 3 picks and 2 picks. So it was like round one, you got 3 selections from Raw and 2 selections from SmackDown, and then just went down the list like that. But they didn't have enough time to cover like the whole roster in the show. So I think like after the show, they like released the rest on WWE.com. But yeah, I mean, they have been doing it like that. We'll give them some credit.
well, good on them then, and hopefully they, Triple H kind of tightens up the loose ends at least.
He's gonna
Like I
bring his
said,
guys in. He's gonna move his pieces into place.
Yeah, and I would love to see a Braun Breaker get called up or a
Hmm.
some of these NXT UK guys.
Braun already?
I mean, I think he's ready.
He needs a little more seasoning, man. I watched him the other night. He needs a little more seasoning. Not in the ring, but as far as promo goes, he needs a little more time.
Well, when Drew beats Roman, I got a perfect guy to be his mouthpiece,
Who
Mr.
you?
Heyman.
Mm. Wait, you want Heyman to speak for Drew?
No, 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 not Drew. I'm
Oh, you
saying
mean Braun,
Braun.
Braun, Braun. Oh, okay, okay.
Which I mean, he's a little white meat baby face, but I think it could work.
Yeah, he's a big dude. I mean, very menacing guy. He has it, man. He just needs to find that character. He has something about him. Just like you knew Roman had something about him, he just needed to find the right character. Braun has something, man.
Hey, it could be a heel
It's a,
turn.
it could be a heel turn. It could be. He's still young too. He has time. Don't rush him up so quick.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it then, but we'll see. And I know they released a ton of the NXT UK guys, and we'll get into some of that more
Do we
this
have to?
weekend.
Do we have to?
We'll just touch on it.
Oh yeah, we'll mention some guys, but 90% of the guys that got released, I had no idea. I had to look them up. Like I saw something that Mark Andrews got released. I was like, Jesus Christ, how long has Mark Andrews been with the company? And then it turns out he's been with the company 6 years. Like, how? Where has he been hiding?
That's why I don't get why I really don't even know why they're like revamping this. No lie. Like who came out of that NXT UK thing? Like
Rhea,
Walter,
Rhea, Pete
Rhea,
Dunne.
Butch.
Butch, yeah, Butch, Gunther, Rhea, uh,
There's
hmm.
somebody else I'm missing, but I can't think of. Is Ilga still there? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that
He,
right.
yeah, but he's hurt right now. Ilya,
Mm.
Dragunov, yeah, he's hurt right now. He's a great wrestler though.
Was
They got a
Dominic
lot.
Dijakovic from there?
Nah, he was an ROH guy they brought into NXT Black and Gold.
Okay. There's
Yeah.
somebody else. I know there's somebody else I'm forgetting.
Mm, uh,
Oh,
Tyler Bate.
Dewdrop.
Oh yeah, dude, drop. Tyler Bates the champ right now, but he's like 5'5", man. They can't. How is he gonna be a competitive matchup to Braun Breaker?
Adam Cole.
No, he's smaller. He's smaller, man. He's
No,
smaller
no
than
way.
Cole, man. He's swole, but he's short, man. He's like Jonathan Gresham height. There's no way this guy's gonna be a star. He's a good wrestler. He's a good wrestler. He doesn't have much mic skills. He's still only 25 years old, so I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
Would the world have been crying if Tyler Bate would have got the axe today?
No.
Nobody would have cared. Nobody would have cared.
And I just don't know how I feel about them relaunching NXT Europe, but
What does that
we'll
even
see.
mean? What does that even
Uh,
mean?
I guess maybe UK limits them too much. I have no idea.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to just like tour around all the like Europe. They just have a traveling tour
Yeah.
of NXT Europe guys. I wouldn't hate that, but where's their roster coming from? They released all their guys.
I don't know. And how about this too? No offense. Uh, I think the same goes for NXT. Let's take this off television. I know NXT UK is on Peacock, which that's fine to me. Like you could find the old FCW videos if you wanted to, but nobody really watched it. Uh, you know, putting these guys on national television when they're not ready for it, I feel like really ruins them because even in developmental, he wasn't like say Sheamus, for example. Sheamus was like Sheamus O'Shaughnessy or whatever in FCW. Then when he got pulled up, he was just Sheamus. And like really nobody knew who he was. So then you get your first impersonation, not impersonation, you get your first impression on a good note. And a lot of these people make bad first impressions, and then it's hard for them to get out of that mold if you're actually watching NXT.
Sure, sure. But there's pros and cons to having it on national TV. Like you're getting seen by a wider audience, but that can be seen as a negative because your character could be rotten. And then you don't want a national audience seeing a guy that shouldn't be on live television every single week. But you're getting paid millions of dollars by the USA Network. So what do you do with that 2 hours on Tuesday night? What do you do with that?
Mm, main event.
For 2 hours?
No, no, no. I'm just playing. I mean, I don't know. I get it that like if USA is gonna pay him, yeah, sure, you might as well. But
And they want live content. The USA Network wants live content, so that makes it even harder. Like, what are you going to put on that 2 hour time slot as far as live content?
third brand, ECW.
No, no, no. I seen people say all women's show, but I don't want to see that either, man.
And to segue that, I didn't watch this match.
You didn't miss much.
Do you watch it?
The crowd was into it. I did watch it actually.
I'm
It was
shocked.
kind of, yeah, I know. I was feeling maybe in a good mood that night. I sat through this. The crowd was completely on the side of Oscar and Alexa though. Why is Alexa still coming out with that doll?
Oh God, I don't know. When I did watch her entrance, and I thought the same thing.
She's still coming out with a doll. They changed her music. She's back to normal Alexa Bliss, but she still has the doll. Mm, okay then. And Bianca came out to support her newfound friends. Asuka was dancing along to Bianca's song. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oscar's good.
She can be. She's good in the ring. She can get a little hokey sometimes on the promos, but she has a lot of energy, man. She definitely she says a lot in Japanese. I'll say that. Uh, it was fine, man. It was there.
Let me say this too about Alexa Bliss and her entrance, and I really don't think I've noticed it until now. They don't make Titantrons anymore, do they?
No, you talking about like a video,
Like a
like a
video
promo
package.
package? Yeah, they don't do that.
I guess I didn't realize it. Alexa Bliss's thing. Somebody go back and watch this if you didn't, or watch her next week on Monday. Her background is just a picture of her with like this basic font that just says Alexa Bliss. Like it looks like somebody made this. I could make something better for Alexa Bliss to come out to.
Yeah, it was kind of plain. They do that for some people, and then they have like extravagant graphics for other people, like Roman. But Oscar locked in Dewdrop into some kind of submission. Dewdrop tab. And that was it, man. It was okay.
All right, well, next up we move to Theory in the back as he's making his return to Monday Night Raw, I believe the first time since SummerSlam. And of course, he's flaunting that Money in the Bank briefcase, saying he's still the future of this business even after all of the setbacks he's faced. And then Dolph Ziggler interrupts, saying that he understands. Oh,
I know you were happy about this.
oh, yes, sir. And he says that he understands the struggles that he's going through because he went through those same struggles himself. He said that he ended up going about it the right way, and Theory isn't doing the things that he needs to be doing. Dolph wants to help him. So then Theory downplays Dolph as a has been, a nobody in this business anymore. And he says, unlike Dolph, he's not going to screw up the rest of his career. And then it all dissolves into a brawl. I thought it was a solid promo. I mean, Not like a ton to unpack here, but obviously this will lead to the main event of Monday night. But I mean, I like seeing Dolph.
Yeah, concurrent storylines running throughout the show. That's what I enjoy. The brawl was pretty solid.
Yeah, and
I'm glad they didn't drop it too. Like it seemed like they dropped this for a little while, but they I like when they finish the stories, man. I don't like when they just drop angles out of nowhere.
yeah, and this is one that even if they were just gonna drop, like it could easily just be done with like one match. Maybe we'll see Dolph get a little more love with Triple H. I don't know. I mean, I know he's kind of old, but the 10-year-old kid in me wants to see Dolph pushed. I mean, I know it's kind of past the point, but he's a good wrestler.
Yeah, he can still go. You can use him in stuff like this, put over younger guys. He's been doing that for the last few years anyway. Just keep him doing that.
Yeah. And I think he should be the one to take the title off Roman.
Um, what was the next segment?
uh, Next up, we had The Miz and Ciampa backstage. Ciampa says that he got really close to being champion last week, but they don't hand out participation trophies here, and he will not rest until he fulfills his goals to win gold here on Raw. The Miz then says that if it weren't for AJ Styles, he would be the champion, but he noted that it's real interesting that AJ got a shot the next week after he caused Ciampa to not win. So then the Miz gives Ciampa a token of his appreciation, which is a copy of Logan Paul's Pokemon card necklace, except inside it has a picture of the Miz and Ciampa in it. Uh, it kind of cracked me up, and they have way better chemistry than I thought they were going to.
Miz is good, man. When people dog the Miz, like, how can you dog this man? This man gives 1% effort on everything he does, and all the material they've given him over the years, he always makes it work somehow.
Yeah,
Miz does not deserve all the online hate.
he's not as bad as people make him out to be. I mean, I don't think he's just like, you
People hate
know,
him because he came from reality TV. Like Punk hates him to this day.
they have beef.
Yeah, they have beef. He still heard about Miz main event WrestleMania over him in 2011, which Miz he was the top heel in the company at the time.
I mean,
Why wouldn't he main event?
because it was just a setup for Rock and Cena.
Doesn't matter, man. CM Punk's. We'll get to Dynamite, but Miz doesn't deserve all the hate he gets.
I mean, I don't think so either. I've always liked The Miz because even like you said, when some of the stuff's been hokey, he tries to make the best of it. And then, when he's given the ability to turn it on, he always has.
Yeah,
And
me
he's
too.
been one of the guys that can cut a promo and make you actually feel like it's real. Evidenced by the famous Talking Smack episode where he cut that fire promo on Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
But um, I mean, I guess it's just working out better than I thought it was going to because I did not expect this pairing to be doing this well.
Who thought The Miz and Dolph Ziggler were going to have marquee matches in 2022? If you'd have told me that 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you.
Hey man, the Triple H effect. Anyways, we'll move on because they had a match next up. It was Ciampa and Miz versus Cedric Alexander and Ali. Have these guys? Well, first off, did Ali get his first name back?
Yeah, he's Mustafa. Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, but like, didn't they take that away?
They did, but they gave it back to him way before Vince was out of power.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind that. I guess I just noticed it this week. Um, Before we cut to the break in the middle of this match, Ciampa hit a nice drop kick to Cedric in the middle of a handspring, which I thought was really nice. A little later on, there was a pretty cool moment where Miz had like a sit out roll up on Cedric, and then Mustafa jumped like from the outside and drop kicked the Miz to flip it over to where Cedric was on top of the roll up. And then to end the matchup, Mustafa set up for a 450, and as he was coming down, Ciampa hit a disgusting running knee into a fairy tale ending 1-2-3. Simple matchup, but I thought it did good for Ciampa and Miz. All these guys look pretty good, and there was, I mean, there was some cool stuff in here. Nothing too crazy.
Really fun match. The ending was really good. Ciampa and Miz, maybe future tag champs? Question mark.
I wouldn't hate it. I don't know that they're the guys to take it off the Usos, but maybe after this brand split, that there's somebody I think that could be a good tag team to, I guess, build your division somewhat. Obviously, they're not on like a Usos or Street Profits level, but I mean they got some good chemistry. Obviously,
Hey, Ali and Alexander should stick together too. That tag team worked well.
they look good. I'll give them that, and it gives them both something to do, I guess.
And they gave him a little quick promo at the beginning of the match.
Yes, they did. I didn't really write it down because if it's like a 30-second segment, unless it's
Yeah,
something just atrocious or really good, I don't write it down. But there's definitely been a focus on, especially on Ali. This is the first time we've seen Cedric in a while, but
just giving them something little like that goes a long way.
yeah, especially for morale.
Yeah.
Um, speaking of atrocious, Elias is apparently going to be out for a long time,
I'm hurt, devastated.
and
Whoa, whoa, whoa! You say Elias?
oh, my fault. Ezekiel is apparently going to be out for a long time,
Elias is okay. Zeke is hurt.
and I can't even describe. I can't do it justice. There was a picture of Ezekiel in a hospital bed, and in the picture it has their dad, which is obviously just Ezekiel in old man makeup. And did it have their mom?
I don't think it had the mom, but it had Ernie Senior, Elrod, Elias, and maybe it was the mom, but just a disgusting act by Kevin Owens. But it was good to see that all the Sampson family was there to support their son in the time of need like
I'm so glad you know all the lore. This was
that.
horrible.
What? I loved it. I
No,
actually
this was
enjoyed it.
stupid.
No,
This
I enjoyed
his dad or his fake father or whatever cut like a
it's his
20-second
dad.
thing that was like, "We won't stand for this. I'm just glad my boy is okay." This was awful.
What? Man, what Kevin Owens did last night was deplorable. And Ernie Sr. was in the right for saying that on live TV. I mean, KO had no right to just storm Zeke like that. Zeke was just getting ready for the match, and then the coward just attacks Zeke like that and power bombs him on the hardest part of the ring. So I mean, when Ernie Senior gets his hands on Kevin Owens, you better watch out. I'm predicting Ernie Senior as number 14 in the Royal Rumble, and then we get Zeke as probably 22, and then maybe we get Elias at 29. I'm picturing all three of these guys making a Rumble appearance. I can see it, and I'm all in for it. I thought it was a good segment.
Anyways, we'll move on to an actual good segment.
I like how you just no sell. You just gonna
Man,
no sell it like that?
I'm not giving this the time of day.
Oh man, it was
This
good,
was
man. Come on, have
it
a
was
sense of humor.
goofy and atrocious.
All right, what else we got?
Next up, we had Drew McIntyre as he made his way to the ring. And he did mention that it was uncharacteristic for him to be here on Raw, which I like because obviously there is still a brand split. You might not know it by the way that
Yeah,
these
I didn't
shows
notice.
typically go,
I didn't think
but
anything of it when he came out.
but I did like that he at least made mention of that. But then he said, and the same can be said for your champion Roman Reigns. So I kind of like that he dug him about that. Um, he talks about what it means to be a true champion of WWE and that he wants to be that guy that's the flag bearer. He says that there's truth to the reports of him being injured. I think there's came out this week some stuff about him having like a lower back injury or something that he was dealing with, and he says that it's been because he's carrying this company on his back. He was fired up, and the crowd was in the palm of his hand, and this was a bad crowd, but they were loving them some Drew McIntyre. Um, and he kept going, and all of a sudden, Kevin Owens interrupts, which I watched the Hulu version last week. So this is like the first time I've seen Kevin Owens on Raw, and I think like probably since we've been watching. Well,
Jeez.
no, or since I've been watching. Since we started this podcast, he had that like segment with Riddle.
Yeah, and that's the one you skipped.
Exactly. So, anyways, he interrupted saying that he never got why Drew tries to pretend like he's something rather than what he truly is, and he's not carrying anyone's weight around here. Uh, Kevin got fired up talking about, you're trying to act like somebody you're not, and I'm the same person I always have been. Nobody's fixing to carry my weight around. And he says he's about to get that chip back on his shoulder that he used to have when him and Sami Zayn were tearing it up, leaving everything they had in the ring. Um, Drew says that somebody this past week called him the chosen one, and it reminded him that, yeah, when somebody called me that, I got fired last time, and I had to leave and claw my way back. And then the WWE called me to come back, not me calling them. He rose the ranks, became world champion, defeated some of the greatest of all time, like Brock and Roman, Goldberg. And he says this, and I had to quote this one. He says, I don't care if you're a fighter, a sports entertainer, or whatever you want to call yourself. We're wrestlers in a wrestling ring, so let's just freaking wrestle.
Mm.
Boy, that's spitting some fire right there. And to hear wrestler back to back like that on a Monday Night Raw.
It was jarring. You forgot what program you were watching for a sec when Drew just man. When's the last time we heard the words wrestler on the show like that? Can you
From a
remember a time?
talent,
Yeah, from a
I
talent.
don't even know.
I can't recall. But let's not just gloss over. Kevin Owens came out and he cut some heat too. It put him.
Oh, yeah.
It put him back into like one of those upper echelon positions for real because the KO prize fighter gimmick he had in NXT and when he came up and beat John Cena on night one as the NXT champ, I'm seeing some shades of that. I'm not seeing the goofy Kevin Owens feuding with Zeke anymore. I'm seeing prize fight Kevin Owens. But this Drew McIntyre right here, this is the guy to beat Roman.
I 100% agree. I actually texted you after I watched this because I watched it a little later, and we kind of were talking about it. If not now, I don't know who you would get to do it. Maybe Bobby after this U.S. Open
No,
Challenge thing is done,
no,
but
this is the
it would still be.
perfect opportunity, the perfect venue, the perfect guy, and he's firing on all cylinders right now. Put it on this guy. Put the rocket ship on him.
Yeah, I feel the same way. This right here is what they need for this new era. I know Drew is probably a typical Vince guy in terms of the look, but just the promos he's cutting, him calling out Roman on his crap, him not being here. And I love Roman, don't get me wrong, because the stuff he's been doing is great, but it's just time. That's all it is.
It is.
And nobody can discredit this run. And if Roman wasn't part time, I might would consider keeping it on him. But it's a new age, a new era for WWE, and I think Drew is the perfect guy to be that first Triple H champion.
And you know what? Drew got dealt a bad hand when the pandemic hit. I mean, he did win the world championship, yes, twice, but it was in front of no fans. Like he
Yeah.
squashed Brock Lesnar in the Performance Center at WrestleMania with no people around. Like, and man, he deserves this run, man. In front of fans, he's the guy. He's the baby face guy that you need to put all your and what to just to think about it when you said he's the guy to lead the new era. Man, my man has been wrestling with WWE since 2009. How crazy is that? That he's part of the new era.
Oh, I know. It just I showed my wife the other day a picture of because I was kind of explaining the story of Drew, and I was like, I think they've got their guy to beat Roman finally. And I showed her a picture of 2009 Drew to current day, and she was like, "Oh my God, that cannot be the same person because it doesn't even look like the same person."
No,
But I mean,
yeah, I didn't like him back then, Jew.
oh man, you didn't like the Chosen One?
The song was Heat. The Broken
I hope
Dreams
they bring it
song is
back.
always that's a bop. But him as a character, as a gimmick, I didn't like that.
I remember him and Morrison having good feuds for the Intercontinental title.
When Morrison like painted his body. That's the only thing I remember about one of his feuds, McIntyre's. I literally don't remember any other feud he had. Do you? Other than the Morrison feud, I don't remember any other feud.
I know him and Dolph had some stuff, and I believe him and Rey Mysterio had some stuff. But that was when, like, I was huge on SmackDown then. SmackDown versus Raw GM mode. You know who I'm siding with. But man, I just something about SmackDown then because that's when my fandom like really got big. I
Well, I
just
like
always liked
SmackDown.
Drew.
I didn't like Drew as a chosen one, man. I just thought he was kind of bland.
Well, we can both agree that this version is better.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
Just and it's kind of crazy too to think that all the hokey crap he was doing at this past year's WrestleMania, he's white hot right now, and he's had great matches, great promos. He looks, like $1 million. He is a former NXT champion too, so obviously, Triple H probably has some love for him.
He
I
did. They brought
think.
him up fast. They brought him up fast. He was NXT champion, and within, if he wouldn't have got hurt, he would have got brought up a lot faster. But he didn't even come back to NXT after he got hurt. They just brought him up to the main roster.
I mean, I think
When
it's
you look
time.
like that, yeah, when you look like that, you couldn't toll around in NXT for too long.
Yeah, and they put him with Dolph to begin with, which I liked when he came up to the main roster. I remember that.
I don't remember much about that.
I wasn't watching WWE at the time, but I always kept up with Dolph. Like I would look up Raw results and SmackDown just to see what Dolph was doing because he was always
wait,
my favorite.
wait a minute. I think Shane McMahon and him teamed up against Roman and Undertaker or something like that at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, I'm pretty
I
sure they
think I
did.
remember that. I think I remember that, but that's the only thing I remember about the early Drew.
Well, anyways, I think we can both agree, like obviously we have. It's time to do it. The only other thing at this point, if they're just, you know, for sure Roman's not losing it, there's only two other people I can think, and that would be Cody. But that means Roman's got to carry it probably until WrestleMania if you've got Cody slated to win the Royal Rumble. Or the only other option, and I would not like this because I don't think this needs the belt. If they do manage to get The Rock for Hollywood, you could get The Rock to take it off of him. But I really don't like that because then who do you get to take it off of Rock? Rock's got to be around for a little bit. It's just kind of
He doesn't need the title. Rock doesn't even need to be there to build up the feud. Just say it's going to be
yeah.
Rock versus Roman at like Royal Rumble, and like people are going to buy tickets to see that.
And that's what I'm saying. It don't need the title at all.
Oh,
Let me ask you this though.
oh,
If they are going to go hard into this brand split, and then we'll move off of this because we spent a while on Drew. If they do move on with this brand split, where, how do you think they split the title up? Usos.
I I think you have a traveling champ. Both if you're the world champion, you get to go to Raw and SmackDown. Because Triple H is part of that old school mindset of having one guy at the champ. So why not have just the undisputed champion go to both Raw and SmackDown? And it puts more emphasis on the United States title and the IC title because those can be the main titles if you don't have a feud going on with the World Championship at the time of the rivalry with the champ. So I would want to have one championship and maybe unify the women's championship too.
I don't love the joint titles. I don't know why. Because if it hadn't been done before, right, then I would say, okay, yeah, do it. But in the 2000s, they had separate world titles. Both guys felt like world champions. The mid
Whoa,
card
whoa, whoa,
guys
whoa.
didn't feel completely useless
Wait,
either.
whoa, whoa, whoa. No. No. You cannot tell me that in 2011, WWE, the world champion felt like the WWE champion. When literally the world champion was the opening match on Raw some days, man. No. It did not feel like both sides had equal attention.
You're okay. I said the 2000s, not not the
Oh,
2010s. But what I'm saying is like you would have John Cena and Batista. Those two guys both felt like world champions. It was distinct enough. You had a good US or US champion, good intercontinental champion. I mean, let's not act like they don't have 120 people on the dang roster. They could do it if they wanted to.
it just it doesn't. A world champion should mean one main champion. It should be the biggest prize in the business. When you got two, man, just kind of waters it down a little bit, doesn't that?
I mean, I see your point. It's different with a company like AEW if you don't like if you're gonna have a brand split, it just doesn't make sense to me to have one main world title. AEW it makes sense because it's all one company, well, all one show even. Well, unless you're on Rampage, but you know why.
I oh man, I think it'd be easier because both shows are on different networks right now. It'd probably be a better idea to have separate champions. But me personally, I think it means more when it's just one world champion.
Well, anyways, we'll move on. I see your point though. After this, they pretty much, threw the mics down and were like, let's get into it. I didn't love that they waited till after the break to start the match because then it's like, what were they doing? Just standing there in the middle of the ring during the commercial break. Um,
Watching commercials.
yeah, that part was kind of odd, but this was a really good match. It was hard hitting, good wrestling. Both of these guys, um, are good wrestlers and can definitely be moved into that upper echelon of WWE now. Not that they haven't been, but I think there's going to be more focus on both of these guys.
I hope so.
Sadly, the Usos ran out and beat up Drew, resulting in a DQ, which I really hated because I did like to see this match. I would have liked to see it get a finish. I do understand why they did it though, because now both guys kind of come out unscathed, I guess. Drew
Yep.
started to get the upper hand on the Usos as Owens then hits him with a stunner, and he looks out to the Usos and says, "Tell your tribal chief that he owes me one." And as the Usos try and take advantage of Drew, he just still cleans house and beats them up anyways. So, eh,
The tag
I
champs.
I think they should have stopped after Owens beat him up, and it should have went on to the next thing. But a really good match up until that point.
This should have ended the show.
Yeah, that or
Like,
Bobby and AJ.
yeah, but I don't like when the tag champs just get jabroned like that. Especially when Drew just had like a 20-minute match back and forth. And then the Usos can't get the upper hand on Drew.
And he beat him on SmackDown, didn't he?
He did with Madcap.
Yeah, it makes your tag champs look weaker, even if it is a non-title match. I don't.
They're the unified tag champions. They're supposed to be the greatest tag team of our generation, but they can't beat one guy when he's just had a 20-minute hard fought match. Just makes them look bad.
Yeah. Next up, we had
Oh God.
Seth. Oh, but none of this makes sense, and I can't stand both of these guys. I almost skipped it, but I didn't. For you listeners out there, I had to endure this, so you're about to have to endure me talking about it and how it made no sense. Seth says that we should all celebrate tonight as Riddle is getting mic'd up to announce his retirement. Riddle then interrupts, saying that he does have a big update about his medical condition, and Riddle then goes on to say, obviously, that he's cleared, and the next time that he sees Seth, it's on. And so then Seth begins to gloat about how he's always came out on top every time Riddle's tried to cross him, and he's just going to do the same thing he's always done. And Riddle was like, "Oh, really? Well, I actually feel fine, and I'm actually in the building, so I'm just going to run out there and we're going to fight right now." What? Why would you have him call in from satellite then? Why would he not just come in the ring and do the promo?
Great
That
question. I don't know, man. It
I
didn't
was
make any
like,
sense to me.
it was so stupid. Why would you not have him come out there and do the promo in front of the people?
Um, Rollins said something that popped me when he said, "Yeah, here's Riddle from his mother's basement." That was pretty funny.
I don't understand, man. Where's the architect? Is he on the back of the
he's
milk cartons with MJF?
he's the visionary now. You don't
I'm
like the visionary?
I'm terrified to see what visions he said. I tell you why they call him the visionary, because
Oh,
he's
here we
high
go.
on something. That's why he's laughing all the time. See, Riddle just smokes pot, but Seth has
Yeah,
gotten into the harder drugs. That's what
he's on.
that's what this war is about.
Seth is on PCP. Riddle's on marijuana.
I don't know, man. Both these guys. Hey, man, maybe they'll both uh pop a
It
piss
gives him
test.
something to do. It gives him something to do. Let's just move on. There wasn't much to this.
Next up, Veer came.
Oh man, this was worse.
I didn't even watch it. I mean,
You
I
didn't
just knew
miss
what was gonna
anything.
happen.
They make Veer look. They make Veer sound like he's like 6'8", 300 pounds, but Veer's like, man, Veer's not that big and He's not that intimidating. I can understand if it was a guy like Umaga's size. Okay, that's believable. But Veer is just looks like an average guy on the roster.
He looks big to me, but I mean,
He doesn't look that much. He doesn't look as big as Lashley or Drew. He looks like an average guy on. He looks like an average guy on the roster, and they give him this savage gimmick. I don't. I'm not. I'm not buying. I'm not into this.
yeah, he's only 6'4". Wow, I thought he was bigger than that.
Is he 6'4"? Maybe it's the gear
Well,
he's wearing, man.
that's his
That's,
build weight.
uh, maybe it's the gear he's wearing. Personally, I think they're. This guy has such an interesting story. Like he was the first Indian person in the MLB, wasn't he? He has a movie
I'm
based on
about to
his
say, yeah, he
life,
has a whole movie about a million dollar
and they give
arm.
him this savage gimmick like he's Umaga 2007. Tell this man's real story.
Yeah, I don't know what. Well, he was in NXT, wasn't he? What was he like then?
He was there for a cup of coffee. I only think he was
Mm,
there a few weeks before they called him up to put him with Gender.
mm.
And the whole thing about that was they were trying to break into the Indian market. I'm not into this.
Yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, we'll move on. I mean,
He beat him up and he pinned him. He pinned him, and then that was it. We'll never see Bo Keller ever again.
next up, we had what should have been the main event of the night, in my opinion, and uh, well, I'll save that for our weekend update. Yeah, I'll also make mention now. We will save our match and show of the week for the weekend update, which will come out hopefully Saturdays or Sundays, just sometime. But anyways, we're adjusting to the new schedule, but you can look forward to seeing that on the weekend shows. Um, we had AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. I really love what they're doing with the U.S. title and Bobby. Bobby feels like a big deal, and I believe Corey said it was the marquee title on Raw.
I mean,
So
how is it not? How is it not? It's the only title that's there that every week.
yeah, I mean I agree,
Gunther on SmackDown. That's the marquee title. Roman's not there.
man. I wish he didn't move to part time, but
That's
anyways,
crazy. What are they gonna do with him after he loses the title? Is he gonna continue being part time?
he's probably just gonna be the spectacle guy like Brock and Goldberg and not Roman, Brock and Goldberg and you know, and that's just or
That's crazy.
Cena.
He is he even 40 years old yet? I don't even think he's 40 years old.
I think he's like 35.
That's crazy.
It's just insane to me. Like he hasn't even been on top, but what for less than 10 years?
That's still, I mean, if you look at it historically, a 10 year on top run is pretty. That's that's something to be proud of.
He's
When you look at Steve
37.
Austin and Rock,
I mean,
37. So theoretically, he can give you 10 more years.
I guess that's true, but well, no, he hasn't. He's only been on top for I guess 8 because the Shield didn't break up till 2014. When did he win his first world title?
2015 November, Survivor Series.
So
He
like
beat Dean.
7 years.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but it was a rough 6 years.
It just feels like it really just kind of kicked off, and now he cut it short.
Yeah, he just got good, and now he's never there.
Well, anyways, back to AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley. Like I said, I love what they're doing with the belt and what they're doing with Bobby. This was a really good match. Bobby was in control for most of the beginning. As he began to go in for the kill, The Miz and Ciampa made their way down to the ring. They really remained neutral for a long time, but then as The Miz started to set in on an attack as AJ spilled out to the floor, Dexter Loomis made his second appearance that we obviously did not get to talk about last week, but we both loved the way that it was shot and done. He jumped the barricade like right into the announce table, basically, as The Miz just stared kind of in shock and security carted him off.
Uh, they did it better last week.
I thought it was still good. They didn't
Yeah,
focus
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
camera on in him 100%.
Yeah, but it just they made it seem like it was more of a oh that wasn't supposed to happen last week, but this week they kind of I don't know.
I see your point, I guess. Um,
Is
then,
he going after Miz?
no, I think he's going after AJ because remember the first night was, or last week he came out during the main event, which was AJ versus, was it the Miz?
Yeah,
Oh wait, you're right. I thought it was AJ.
I say it feels like the mute stalker character would fit more as a heel, right?
That's what I'm thinking, which makes more sense for him to go for AJ.
I don't know. We'll see though. I'm not I'm still intrigued by it.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting once things actually start to heat up a little bit. Um, then during the break, the ref ended up kicking Ciampa and Miz out as they started to get too involved in the match. A little later on, AJ locked in a nasty calf crusher that I thought might end it, but Lashley reversed it into a grounded hurt lock, which I thought was a really cool way to get out of it. And then AJ went for the phenomenal forearm, but Bobby dodges it and comes through with a huge spear, 1, 2, 3, as Bobby retained. Thought this was a really good match. In my running for match of the week, and
Crowd just sucked.
yeah, and that was kind of the theme all night, even with the main event. Like they were just sitting on their hands, and I was like, man, this is a good match. Why are y'all not into this? And you really couldn't tell who was gonna win.
And
AJ
this was
could have
their first
won.
meeting. This was their first meeting. Like they've been around a long time. They've been in the same company multiple times, and they never crossed paths. This is a low key a dream match. And then, I mean, the fans chanted, "This is awesome" at some point, but I just it kind of dragged it down a little bit.
Yeah, that just I don't know, man. I think it should have went on last because the rest of the show kind of felt dead after this. But yeah, these are two main event level guys wrestling for the United States Championship and put on a good long match on Raw with no screwy finish. Like, what more can you really ask for? And they just did not. They weren't having it, man.
They weren't. They
Uh,
were in DC, man. You figured that'd be a hot crowd, being like a major market.
I don't know. Maybe DC's just not a wrestling town. I mean, what big wrestling event can you name from there? Capital
Mm.
Punishment.
Hey, hold up now. I ain't gonna let you besmirch the great event of capital punishment.
uh, um, but
You didn't like that Truth Cena match?
oh god, I thought it was a good name. I thought it was an interesting
Capital punishment.
idea.
When they had the Barack cosplayer, that's when I was like, okay, this isn't for me.
Okay, get this out of here.
This isn't this isn't for me.
It made me think of or it makes me think now of in like '96. I think it was WrestleMania. They had like fake
Yeah.
Bill Clinton at WrestleMania
he
WrestleMania
he did
12.
multiple appearances that year for the company.
I'll say this: he at least kind of looked like him.
He was good, man. I was fooled as a kid. I had to ask my dad, "Is that really Bill Clinton?"
Oh god. The thing that gave it away for me watching it back was the no security around him at any time. Um, Next up we had Dana Brooke versus Dakota Kai.
Hmm. What'd you think of this?
Next up we
what?
had
What?
Theory versus Dolph. I'm sorry, I did not watch this, man. I'm not watching Dana Brooke. I like Dakota
Hmm.
Kai, and I'm interested in the stuff that they're doing with Kai and Ty, or I'm sorry, Kai and Sky.
Are you really that interested?
It's interesting to a point. I'm just not interested in Dana Brooke.
I haven't seen a Kai match in a long time, and it was there. This was a quick match though. You didn't miss much.
I did notice
Bailey
that I didn't have to
Bailey
skip
yelled
through
at
a
the
ton.
announcers. Bailey yelled at the announcers. That's probably the only thing that was entertaining about this match.
Okay,
Yep, he did that.
sounds good. Um, and then for our main event of the night, we had Theory versus Dolph Ziggler. Uh, Good to see my boy Dolph getting some main event status in 2022. This one started out hot. They went to the mat pretty early with some good back and forth technical wrestling, and as they got to their feet, Theory clocked off with a huge right hand, and it sounded disgusting. Um, Theory took control pretty much after that for a while. He started trying to remind Dolph of who he was, just taunting, slapping him around basically. Dolph got up, built some momentum, and came back with a jumping DDT. After a bit, Theory did climb to the top, trying to regain his footing. Dolph met him up
Oof.
there and landed a facebuster. Dolph landed real awkward. It kind of like he
Yeah.
didn't want to commit to landing on his butt, so he went to land on like his knees. It was.
Yeah.
I kind of got worried for him, but if it did mess anything up, he looked fine for the rest of the match.
He
Um,
saved it. He saved it.
yeah. You know my boy Dolph. He don't never slip up. A great
He's
worker
a
right
pro.
there.
He a pro. He a pro.
A little further in, Theory went to go for that rolling drop kick, and Ziggler reversed it into a nice famouser, which I really liked. They went back and forth doing the striking spot that all the indie guys love these days. Ziggler took control, but then Theory reversed the zigzag into a huge shoulder tackle and into an A-Town down, to which Ziggler reversed into a zigzag for a close 2 count. Dolph went to go for the famouser once more to put him away. Theory reversed it into an A-Town down, 1, 2, 3. I thought it was a solid match. I like both of these guys, and they're both good workers. It just felt really flat after the AJ match. I just really think
Yeah.
that should have went on last.
Yeah. What's Robert Roode been up to?
It's a great question. They need to bring back glorious Robert Roode now that Triple H is back in power.
Hey, he still looks in good shape. He could go on one more run.
That's what
I
I'm
know he's like
saying.
46, 47 at this point, but
Jeez, he
I
don't
wouldn't
look
hate
that
it.
old.
How old is Robert Roode? Look that up real
He's
quick.
up. Like he's up there because I remember me and you were joking about it because I was like, man, give them guys one last run, and you're like, no, man, he's old, and I was like, no, there's no way he's only like 39, and then I
He's
looked it up,
46.
yeah, 46. Jesus,
That's
he don't
crazy.
look 46 though,
No, no, he doesn't. He's ripped. He's shredded. My man looks like 2007 Triple H out there.
or just current day Buddy Matthews.
No, let's not go. Let's not go that far.
Um, hey man, take him off TV for like 6 months, let him come back, give
Hey,
him
he
one
could be
last
like,
main event
yeah, he could be a
run.
pivotal point, pivotal man in the draft. Like what they just draft him out of nowhere to SmackDown. He has like a monster run there. I could see it.
Yeah. You could at least build him up for a little bit and have him and Drew. I'm sure him and Drew could have a good feud. Rude's always been good on the mic to me. So
Yeah,
give him the glorious
you
gimmick. I think you can get your money's worth at least out of him.
give him some vignettes. Like you remember how they reset Bradshaw like on SmackDown? They just gave him vignettes. And
Yeah.
then, like within 2 months of them giving him them vignettes, he was like WWE champion on SmackDown. So I mean, you could do that with Rude.
I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I'm an advocate for old Robert. But that's how we close the show. I thought it was an all right match. Like I said, I like seeing Dolph and Theory. Both these guys can go. Nothing wrong with it. Just a little, I guess, flat after the AJ Bobby match.
If they
What do you
tighten
think?
this up, if they tighten this up to 2 hours, it would have been a lot better of a show.
That's consistently our thought, like every week about Raw, man. There's just a little too much filler, and it's like, it just drags the show down. But
Yeah,
if you cut out the Dakota Kai Dana Brooke thing, like in all honesty, we did not really need that. Some of these
Riddle
backstage
Rollins.
segments, yeah, Riddle versus Rollins, and you just left in Theory, Dolph, AJ, Bobby, the Owens Drew stuff, the Ciampa
That's a
Miz
great show.
match.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great show if you just leave those things in.
But when you start to add in even the Judgment Day stuff, it just
Yeah.
starts to drag the rest of it down. All right, well, we will move to the August 17th edition of AEW Dynamite, and boy, did we open up hot. CM Punk came out to a roaring crowd, and I could not be happier to see him back on AEW television. It felt like they've been lacking for a long time. Um, he tells Hangman Adam Page that he can get his rematch right now if he so chooses, and he lays the belt down in the middle of the ring and waits for him to come out. You want to wait to? Nah, we'll go ahead and talk about it now because there's a lot more to unpack about this. Um,
Well, we can touch on a couple things here.
well, let me finish this and then I'll I will paraphrase the Fightful Select article that came out today. Um, so Punk then grabs the mic and says that, everybody wants to say what they want to, but they need to make the apology as loud and as public as the disrespect, and that if anybody else has a problem, they can come on out because everybody wants to be the world champ until they have to be the big man on top. And as I quote, and do champ explicitive. He says that he's the true champion of AEW, not John Moxley. And then, so we'll pause here. So, the Fightful Select article, I don't want to just absolutely copy what they said because obviously,
Well, we
um,
gave credit. We're gonna give credit to him. We
yeah,
ain't
I mean,
copying
all this stuff is theirs. I don't want to say it
him.
word for word, so I'll paraphrase it because it is on their paid membership
Behind the
website.
paywall, yeah. Behind the
Ah.
paywall.
um, Fightful was told that CM Punk had an issue with Hangman Page's promo back in May when they were building up to the Double or Nothing match. Um, and that this statement by Punk was not pre-made, pre-approved or anything like that. Um, Apparently Punk met with AEW higher ups and told that he refused to lose to Hangman Page back in May. And they also said that a lot of talent felt that the situation was unfair to Hangman Page because what was he supposed to do in that moment if he was ready to go backstage? Um, so basically, in the promo that Punk,
Yeah, Page couldn't storm the ring while Punk was running him down verbally on the mic,
yeah,
which put him in a bad situation. Like I'm sure there's guys that's pro Adam Page back there and that hate CM Punk. Which I mean, if you're Page, Micah, what do you do?
I mean, you can't do anything. But at the same
You
time, like
can't.
that was Page's hometown, and he just called him a coward, and Page did
I didn't even
nothing.
realize that. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, and so apparently Punk took issue with some things that Page had said in a promo back in May. So then he said this.
Back in May. It's August. He simmered on that. He simmered on that for 4 months.
Uh, Apparently this was
If
seen as a receipt backstage. Um,
if he was that mad at Page, why didn't he give him a receipt in that promo they had? Why did he wait 4 months down the line to retaliate? That's kind of a punk move by Mr. Punk.
I'll finish this up and then I'll get into my thoughts. Punk has often verbally expressed his displeasure, including recently so blatantly that they thought that he might end up quitting the company. Those close to him said that he might have also decided to stay home instead of coming to the Dynamite last night, which was the August 17th edition, but don't think that he would have quit the company altogether. Apparently, threats have been levied, and that's a quote from one veteran backstage. Uh, as well as the decision to move the Moxley Punk match from All Out to next week's episode of AEW Dynamite that we'll get to, um, was apparently a late decision from AEW, and they didn't get any context on to what Punk's current frustrations are, whether those be the change in the match or Hangman's jab back in May or otherwise. So, there's a whole lot to unpack there. We can talk about the Moxley match getting moved a little later. But for now, obviously the Hangman stuff is the interesting aspect. I just don't see Punk quitting the company, and I don't
I
believe.
do. I can. He quit WWE 8 years ago, man.
Yes, but he just got back from rehab, and in any press release we've seen, any media scrum, the stuff at San Diego Comic-Con they were doing, he seems more than thrilled to be there. I don't see him
Mm.
training that hard to come back from rehab to come back the night after, or like basically the first night of his return and be like, I don't want to be here anymore. I just don't think that it would have boiled that much over. this quickly, I
Punk
guess.
Punk is a miserable person and is directly on brand to what he usually does. I mean, just look back, man. I mean, who says kind words about CM Punk and like shoot interviews over the years? Who says anything positive about Punk? The only guy he had that spoke highly of him was I'm trying to think who did speak highly of him.
Colt Cabana.
Cole Cabana, and then he tried to get poor old Cole Cabana fired from his position. Have you seen Cole Cabana on AEW lately?
Are you missing him?
That's not the point. Point is, CM Punk is 1997 HBK who thinks he's 1997 Bret Hart. And that's always who he has been. He's a miserable prick that's getting paid millions of dollars, and he thinks that he's better than he actually is, and it's causing a little mini civil war in AEW.
Okay. I I disagree with the fact that he's not 97 Brett because if he's in WWE at this moment, okay, maybe that argument can be made. But in AEW, he is their 97 Brett. Like that's just the fact. There are guys in AEW who have positive things to say about him. Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, FTR have said positive things about Punk. And let me say this too. I don't know that this is not a work. I feel like there are things going on that maybe we don't know. If this was such a big deal back in May, why are we just now hearing about it in August, as soon as
Well,
Punk gets back?
Punk is a guy that holds grudges, so this would be on brand of him to bring it up when he. I mean, he doesn't have to follow a script. He can just go out there and say what he wants.
I mean, I see your point there. I just don't think. I don't think that him wanting to leave the company is true.
I don't.
I don't
Yeah,
see
I don't buy
that.
that.
Now, him and Paige having actual beef, okay, that might be true because, I mean, we talked about it a little before we got into the show. Uh, he's not ever been involved with the elite stuff. He has only been involved with Paige because Paige was the world champion, um, or any of their camp really. The Bucks, Omega,
Cody.
even an Orange Cassidy, a Cody, and he's never really talked about, yeah, I'm so glad to be here in AEW. I love Kenny and the Bucks and all that. He's always just like, yeah, I love Tony Khan. So maybe there is some real discourse in there. And while you got to give Kenny and the Bucks their flowers for being a part of this, big integral, big company, whatever, let's not act like we're big fans of their stuff. Let's not act like FTR.
No, but this is the company they built, man. This is the company they built, and then you got guys like CM Punk and FTR, and then you got Malachi and all these ex WWE guys coming into their company. Wouldn't that ruffle a few of the AEW originals' feathers when you got all these ex WWE guys just coming in and getting a marquee spot?
Yes, to a point. There are some AEW original guys, Starks, Hobbs, Wardlow, MJF. If you want to throw in a Sammy Guevara, a Darby, um,
Jungle Boy.
maybe maybe a Jungle Boy, a Daniel Garcia. I know you don't like him, but he's all right
No,
to me. Uh,
no.
okay, yes, I see some displeasure among them. However, some of those guys have fought Punk, and that is going to get them more exposure than ever. And it's not like Punk just buried young talent his entire way to the top. He came in and won the belt immediately. It was like a year long thing. Page still got his run and all that when he didn't deserve it, and it got really stale after a while, and he should have lost it before then, Danielson, in the first place. Um, so I get it, but you can't tell me that Orange Cassidy needs more screen time than Punk, or a lot of these AEW original guys. Like, I'm sorry, they're just not Punk, and they never will be Punk.
It's tough, man. You're gonna. I don't know. This Punk situation, I can totally believe that he went into business for himself in that promo.
I'm not saying it's completely out of question. I'm just saying, you
How
know,
long before? How long before he takes his ball and goes home like he did in WWE? That coward. Talk about coward stuff. He's the coward. MJF was right.
I just, I don't
He
agree.
turned his back on us, Micah. We were all in. 2014 WWE. He took his ball and went home for 8 years.
Well,
So when does he do it? When does he do it to the AEW roster? When does he do it to the AEW fans? When does he take his ball and go home? And then we see him another 8 years. When does he do
you
that?
you got to blame WWE for that one, not Punk.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Why not? Why not Punk? Who says anything positive about Punk?
Look,
Guys that actually know Punk throughout the years, you're not gonna see somebody say anything positive about him. He's a locker room cancer, Micah. He always
mm,
has been. No, he is. He's never been a good guy. He the long term friends he has, they're not his friends anymore. Wonder why? You know, man, it's like this. If you smell dog crap on your shoes every single day, all day, and you wonder, dang, something in the room smell like dog crap. Eventually, you're going to discover that well, there's dog crap on your shoes. It's not everybody else. And I probably just butchered that analogy, but still, you get what I'm saying, right, Micah?
I mean, I see your point.
CM Punk's the problem. Get him up out of here
Mm,
and bring him back to
uh,
WWE.
yeah, exactly. And there we get the root of your true feelings. Anyways, Punk continued saying that Moxley has always been a number 2, and he goes as far as to say that he was a number 3 in his own group, and that seems to be a recurring trend in his career, obviously referencing
mm,
the Shield and the Blackpool
mm.
Combat Club right
How
now.
many WWE references we got in this promo? Punk
Okay.
is like an obsessed ex-lover. He cannot stop talking about us, man. But go ahead.
Man, okay, but it's not like he was like, "Oh, you WWE did this wrong with you." He was more quoting things that happened in Moxley's career rather than being
He
like,
does this every promo. He does this every promo. He did this for the MJF promo. References WWE. He did this in Adam Page feud. He references WWE. That's just his thing. He's a jilted ex-lover. But go ahead. We're doing fine on our channel. We had more than 900,000 people watch. But go ahead.
he says that all Moxley talks about is breaking bones and drinking blood, but Punk is the only one who's actually broken any bones in the past 6 months, despite that being his own. He says that Moxley's not a true champion. He's the interim champion, and he needs to learn that. Uh, he randomly started cooking on Eddie Kingston, too, saying that he's the third best Eddie he's ever wrestled, and he's the second best Kingston he's ever shared a locker room with. And nobody in this company is number 1 but Punk. And Punk just said, tell me when I'm telling a lie. And he wasn't. And he was cooking everybody, and he was saying he's number 1. And that's what I liked about this, because it was kind of a heel
Yeah.
promo. And there's no, I guess, clear-cut number 1 babyface out of this feud, but Punk's telling the truth about all of this stuff. And he cooked Moxley on the things that people take issue with Moxley about. The I'm gonna drink your blood and da 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 da, and then he just does the same old match he always
Yeah.
does. Even and I'm not necessarily done yet. um, Moxley would go on to interrupt, and Punk was like, "Oh well, I got some time till he's gonna be out here. I'm gonna just do snow angels in the ring." And like I know that
That was
that's
hilarious. That was so
it's
funny.
not really anything serious, but it does make fun of the fact that he comes through the crowd all the time and it takes him forever to get to the ring.
That was hilarious though. I've never seen anybody like interrupt somebody's entrance and dog him like that. He killed him.
He seemed
Yeah, he
pissed.
had a lot of frustration.
Um, Mox says that Punk's writing checks with his mouth that his body can't cash, and he has been for a while. He says that he's not the best world. He's not. Yep. He's not even the best in the world. He's not the best wrestler, even in catering. Mox says that he's the heart and the soul of this company, and Punk's like, okay, that's fine. He said, I'll be the dollars and cents of this company since every pay per view I've been on is drawing more money.
That felt like off the cuff. Like he just reacted to what Moxley said. I enjoyed that.
Oh, he did. Mox says that we both know that the only reason Punk came back was for money, which I thought was kind of a, he lost that
Well,
war
wait, whoa, look, he
because
had a lot of legal bills with Colt, and WWE did
oh,
sue
get
him.
out of here.
WWE sued him. You don't remember that?
I mean, I do remember that, but I don't think Punk's hurting for
I
money.
mean, he lost that lawsuit. So.
Oh, Mox says that Punk ran out of heart and soul for this business, and if he feels so froggy, then jump. Punk comes back with saying that they've got a match coming up in Chicago, and it wouldn't be the first time that he beat a John in Chicago, and he would be the second best John that he beat in Chicago.
Here we go.
Um, he said that he would beat him up now, but he's scared that if he touched him, he'd start bleeding all over himself. And then they hit heads in kind of a pissed off face off, and Moxley,
Sloppy brawl. It was a sloppy brawl.
it was okay. Mox
Sloppy.
planted a quick kiss, I guess, because that's his new gimmick, according to Effie and
That's not.
GCW.
Come on, man. That's not his new gimmick. Come on, man.
Hey man, what about the Blackpool Kissing Club? That might work better for
Oh
Mox.
man, I like how you just christened him. Oh, that's his new gimmick now.
Yep. Well, I mean, he did it on garbage championship wrestling. Let's do it on AEW too, because I'm a world champion. But as you mentioned, they started brawling as security split them up. This was I really enjoyed this
Weird.
segment. No,
No, man. The promo was CM Punk cut a fire promo. Mox looked shell shocked, and then they did a sloppy brawl. So that kind of ended flat for me.
the brawl was not that bad to me.
It was, man. Like it's just like they would stop, and then Moxley would get up on the turnbuckle to make fun of Punk. Like, is he really that mad at Punk that he's just standing on the turnbuckle? And then I don't know, man. It felt like they should have been like literally been pulled apart and stayed apart.
Well,
But I don't know. I wasn't feeling this.
I thought it was a really
Brawl
good
was sloppy.
segment to start the show. And Punk was on fire here. Obviously, maybe he
He
has some
did.
real resentment. Like you said, Moxley, he had some okay stuff here, but it just,
He looked lost.
yeah, I think Punk showed him up.
Oh, most definitely. Mox looked like he had a prepared statement while Punk just reacted out there. It just felt like they were having two different promo battles. And I don't know, man. That's not like Mox. Like, he can cut some good promos.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be better next week. Or
Well,
well, no, they're having a match
as I
next
said,
week.
they're having the
Never
match.
mind. What
Well,
do you think about that? What do you think about that? Them having hot shot in the match like that.
mm, I just don't know where I love it and hate it because my gut, I feel sick because I don't know who's going to win. And if Moxley goes over, I'll be kind of pissed off because I think it's a dumb move. I saw somebody on Twitter say, well, what if they let Mox win? That way his summer reign is validated. Punk wins it all out. That way, he can actually get a start to a reign. So it's not just like, 3 months worth for nothing. But then why would you even make him the interim champion to begin with? Why would you not have just stripped Punk? So that doesn't make sense. But if they if Mox wins clean on Wednesday, where do they go from here? So then I feel like you have to have a run in. Who do you get to do that? People are saying MJF. But I just don't know that that makes sense. And then what? You're gonna make MJF take the pin at All Out? I
Nah, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, I can't predict it. I think
They
maybe it'll
don't.
do a good
They
rating, but why would you
will
not have
it.
saved it for the pay per view?
Will it though?
I mean, I
Nine
think
hundred
so.
thousand. That's my prediction. I predict 900,000. Same as every week. This is supposed to be their big show, man. They were teasing Omega coming back, CM Punk finally talking, Bryan Danielson in the marquee matchup, and they still only did 950,000.
Well,
Micah, this is it. This is their audience.
they didn't announce that Punk was going to be there until like 2 hours before the show started.
Well, you knew he was going to be there. He just came. He came out last week. You knew he was going to be there.
I mean, you suspected, but there was no. That's something AEW does wrong to me is like they just don't announce things ahead of time. They'll have like 3 matches, and then Tony's like, "Hey, this will be on Dynamite tonight," and it'll be like 3 hours before. Why are you
See,
doing that?
that's a new thing because when they first started, you would know the matches like well in a week in advance. You would know what would be on Dynamite and the segments. But when Rampage came along and now he has ROH on his plate, the NFL season starting. I think he's has something to do with a soccer team in like Europe or something. I don't know, man. He's just the booking isn't as well planned out, if that makes sense, as it used to be. And he said that's part of the reason was because they could film a lot of stuff ahead of time during the pandemic. And you could film like 4 or 5 shows and it's easier to announce segments and matches when you already know because you got it in the can.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
A new
in
thing in the AEW development.
well, we'll move on. I thought it was a good segment. I'm excited to see what they do next week because, like I said, I really can't predict where they're going to go, which is a great thing, but also I just don't know that it was their best move because it's outside of maybe Punk and Danielson. This is like the biggest match they can make.
They don't
So,
do DQ finishes either,
yeah.
especially on world title matches. They don't really do
Maybe
that.
maybe if they go to a draw, but I don't. We'll just have to
You
see.
want to see these guys go an hour?
No, no, no.
I don't know, man. Punk is good.
Maybe Punk can get a decent match out of Mox.
Miles can go, man. He just all that garbage championship wrestling has poisoned his mind. He wasn't like this on the other channel. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh, here we go.
He actually
Anyways,
had to stay in the ring on our channel, but I digress.
Powerhouse Hobbs was in the back, saying that, or Tony asked him, what was your reason for turning on Ricky? He says that he constantly had to protect Ricky when he couldn't do his one job, which was to keep that FTW title. He paraded around like he was God's gift to wrestling, but it was Hobbs doing all the dirty work, saving his tail, and he didn't appreciate him. And he said not only does he break backs, but he breaks necks. I thought this was a pretty good promo from Hobbs, considering we haven't heard a whole lot, and thought the reasoning kind of made sense. It wasn't like absurd.
I fully thought that somebody was going to interrupt his promo segment, and I was pleasantly surprised that nobody came in to interrupt because it was a good starting promo to his new single run.
I'm sure we'll see him on Rampage next week.
I'm sure.
But next up we had Daniel Garcia versus Bryan Danielson in a 2 out of 3 falls match with special guest timekeeper Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Um, Good technical wrestling to start out the match. Danielson doing what he does best. Garcia tried to do those Blackpool Combat Club elbows, and they looked freaking horrible, which I really just hate those altogether. Um, the only person that ever looks good doing them is Danielson. So, anyways, Garcia hit a nasty pile driver that was executed pretty well, and it kind of scared me. Yeah, it looked brutal.
Yeah, Danielson got a history of concussions and neck issues, and he just drop him on his head like that. He must really trust that
Well,
kid.
hey man, maybe Garcia's just really good in the ring, and
What?
we don't know
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm about to say,
it.
respectfully disagree.
um, but shockingly, Garcia picked up the first fall here with a dragon sleeper. I was not expecting him to go up early.
Put him to
I
sleep.
Yeah, I expected Danielson to get the first one, but I mean, anyways,
How'd you like Jericho on commentary?
it's hit or miss with him, man. Sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's screechy, constantly interjecting. It was okay here to me.
Yeah, I thought it was. I actually laughed at a couple things he said. I thought he was pretty entertaining on commentary. I wouldn't mind him just converting full time to commentator.
If he does it when he retires, okay. It's just sometimes on Rampage, he was just very like,
Screechy.
just yeah, yelling the whole time, and I was like, dude, all right,
Like he's trying to get
peel it
himself
back a
over.
little bit. Yeah. Um, but after he picked up the first fall, Garcia locked him in another dragon sleeper. Danielson rolled him up into a 3 count. So then from now on, we're going into the final fall 1-1. Danielson had him in the tree of woe and landed some kicks to the chest, climbed up to the top rope, and landed a nasty German off the top, which I thought looked really good. Danielson brutalized him after this with the chest kicks, a tope suicida.
Did you catch when Jim Ross said like nobody's slapping their legs here? Did you see that?
Oh my God, no, I didn't hear
What?
that.
How do you justify that? What does that even mean? Like to somebody that just watched the show just to watch the show? Like, what is that supposed to mean?
Oh my God.
Nobody's slapping their legs here. He said that. He was saying that when they were like striking each other. I think that was when Danielson was laying in those kicks.
Why would you're
JR
just
is just
telling the
salty, man.
audience it's fake.
Yes, JR hates this show. You cannot tell me otherwise. JR does not enjoy being on this show.
He don't bother me all the time with some stuff he says, but it's like stuff like that or just
It takes me out
the
of it.
overall I don't know, man. It might look. We said it weeks ago. Jr. just needs to go to a commissioner role,
When you
respectfully.
when you hear when you hear clips on like TikTok and like see clips of like Stone Cold during the height of the Attitude Era, and you hear Jim Ross, it sounds like a completely different person. Like
Yeah,
this is not JR anymore, man.
I mean he's a legend. I hate to say that about him. I really do. But it's just father time, and I just don't think JR has the energy, and I don't think he has the want to anymore.
Yeah, and he never sounds excited to be there. He always says sly comments about the show, um, and this has nothing to do with the show, but his stuff on Twitter is kind of questionable too, like the stuff that he likes and
You
follows. That's a little questionable too, but that's a whole nother topic discussion.
have to do him like that. Somebody needs to teach. Somebody needs to teach JR what a burner account is.
Yeah, Jr. Jr. turned into Jerry Lawler, man.
He stole his gimmick. Oh, as we moved on, Garcia got busted open due to Danielson using the turnbuckle post as a weapon. Danielson had been busted open earlier due to a DDT on the exposed concrete during the break. They did a long back and forth spot, hitting each other with elbows while their hands were interlocked. It was
Pause.
questionable.
Yeah.
Danielson started to take control. Garcia then reversed it and started with the stomps that Danielson normally does. But then Danielson swapped it and took control, giving him some stops of his own. Danielson locked in the label lock, which of course Garcia slips out of. Danielson landed some elbows, knocked him back into, I guess, submission. No pun intended. He locks in the label lock again, and Garcia taps out.
Did he
After the
tap out?
match, yeah, he tapped out.
Oh, okay. I thought he passed out.
I'm pretty sure he tapped.
Nah, he passed out because I remember he was like coming to, and he was like trying to scratch at Brian, and then they were trying to make it seem like on commentary that, oh, Garcia, he doesn't even know that the match ended. He still wants to go. I think he just passed out.
Oh well. Either way, Danielson picks up the win here. Uh, After the match, Danielson extends his hand to Garcia, in which Jericho comes from behind and starts beating down Danielson. Garcia pulls him off to Jericho's dismay as he slaps Garcia, and then Jericho kind of walks off, and uh, he seemed real torn who to side with in the situation, whether that be Jericho or Danielson.
Crowd was cheering Garcia.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good match. I mean, I've never said that Garcia is a bad wrestler. It's just he's always used and like against the big guys, yet he always loses. Like he never wins a match.
And his promos suck. Danielson could have a great match with a broomstick. Let's not kid ourselves. But this was a good match.
Yeah,
We'll give more credit to Danielson in this match. So.
Garcia hasn't had just an atrocious match to me.
He's just another guy on the roster, man. They got 35 guys that can wrestle like Garcia. Tony Nese could have been put in this match, and they would have had an equally as good a match. You cannot convince me that Garcia is some talent you should build around. Get out of here.
He just needs some charisma. That's what most of these AEW guys lack.
Man, you can't just inject him with charisma. He just doesn't have it. He's a good technical wrestler. That's it.
I
He is
mean, you
no.
can learn
He's
charisma. Some
no.
guys can.
Who just learns charisma? You just have the it factor when you walk through the door.
I mean, there are guys that get it eventually, though. Like, say Roman, for example. Roman really didn't have charisma for a long time until he turned heel.
Yeah, but that was more due, but that he was babyface. This guy's heel. This is where you get your charisma from, being a heel.
Well, anyways,
Garcia sucks. I wanted to put that out
I
there.
think I think we're moving to Garcia with the Blackpool Combat Club, and it's been
Oh,
planned for the All Out match to be Danielson versus Jericho. So we'll see where this goes from here. I mean, Jericho's been putting on good matches recently, and I think this will be a good match.
that's a
Yeah.
good match. Yeah.
Next up, we move to Keith Lee and Swerve in the back with Private Party, as Private Party is getting their title shot on, wait for it, what show? Rampage, you know
Rampage.
why. Swerve says that they've been here how long, and they're just now getting close to the title belts, and trying to knock them down a peg. He says that they need to learn some respect for their elders, but Cassidy says he's tired of the disrespect and he's going to see him on Friday. Uh, this was here.
Yeah.
I'm not watching Rampage for this match.
How sad is Swerve that his guys got hired back and the group that he was gonna be a big star in gets hired back and he's stuck on Rampage.
Judging by his Twitter, I don't think he's that hurt about it. Somebody commented that at him, and he said, I'm the tag champ.
Oh yeah, I'm
So,
the tag champ on Rampage every week. I bet he's thrilled.
I mean, words were from his mouth, not
Oh
mine.
man, what else we had on the show?
Well,
uh, you know what? Keith Lee handing them the stick of gum. I thought that was the highlight of this segment.
I don't even think I noticed that.
Like one of the private party jabronis got in his face toward the end of the promo, and Keith Lee just like handed him a stick of gum. That was like the only thing that stood out to me in this segment.
Oh well. I guess I don't know. I didn't catch that. I don't know why. Um,
You know why.
Tony Nese. Oh, come on now. You can't pin me down like that. I'm advocating for these guys.
What else we got, man?
Um, Tony Nese started making his way down to the ring, and then Moxley comes out and beats the dog piss out of
This
him.
was so random.
Yeah, but I liked it though because it was like a concurrent storyline running throughout
Yeah,
the show.
yeah,
So I enjoyed it.
yeah.
He beat the piss out of him and Smart Mark. Went and grabbed a mic, got in the ring, called out CM Punk, and said he's ready to get on right now with this. So then Punk comes down to the ring with security right beside him as he walks down. I don't know why they wouldn't have stopped him before, but again, they start brawling and just get broken up by security.
Another sloppy brawl.
Um, oh, get out of here. I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was good. It added, some chaos to the show and it constantly involving your main eventers, which I enjoy.
Yeah,
So I thought it was a good way to re-involve these guys.
it did. It's kind of a little hot shot booking, but it's fine.
Hogan Goldberg. We moved to Chris Jericho and the JAS in the back. Jericho says that he's going to give Garcia a pass this week as maybe he just had a rough night and needs to recollect himself and actually think about what he's doing. He says next week they're going to meet in the ring for a face-to-face for a little chat. Him and the JAS will meet with Garcia.
Pause. Hold up.
Yeah.
How, so you telling me that he's not gonna see Garcia for a whole week? He ain't got Garcia's number. He can't text him and ask him, "Hey, bro, what's going on?" Why does he have to wait an entire 7 days?
I thought about the same type thing
Like, bro,
because I
bro,
was
y'all ain't got a
like,
group chat.
maybe he's maybe if he was like, you take the week off, go home, and you need to do some soul searching and recollect yourself, and I want you to meet me back here next Wednesday. Then maybe that would have flown over a little well, but or a little better. But yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. I was like, you're just not going to talk to him. Like they even did that a few weeks ago with the Undisputed Elite. We're gonna have a meeting in the middle of the ring. Like, can you not just have a meeting backstage? Like, I don't know.
Like, don't y'all live like close to each other, or you can't call them on like a random Thursday or something? I don't know.
Uh, well, as Jericho's cutting this promo, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat interrupted, saying that Jericho's not the person to take Garcia under his wing, but that man's name is Bryan Danielson. Jericho walks off, telling him to stay out of their business, and or he'll end up like they did, or like he did in 2009 when him and Jericho had that feud. And old Cool Hand Ange puts his hand on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and starts to like try and choke him out, and he's like, "Nah, stay out of our business" or whatever. And then Ricky just smacked him, and we cut back to the ring.
Yeah.
Man, why could they not do this live? Like, do you understand the pop we would have got?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Like Ricky wasn't even on. He didn't have anything to do with that match that he was timekeeper of, did he? Like, did he like raise Bryan Danielson's hand at the end of that match or anything?
No. They should have had Jericho come down there and Garcia and slap Garcia, and then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat hits the ring or whatever, and then Garcia's kind of caught in the middle or whatever, and have like Ricky split them up or whatever, and then have Jericho choke Ricky or something, or do something to him, and then have Ricky chop Jericho, or have Danielson hit Jericho or something, and then have Ricky like finish him off, and then
Have like
Garcia can just kind of walk off with like a "oh God, what did I
a
do"
conflicted
face.
look. Yeah, or have Ricky. You gotta have him do the arm drag, man. You got him there. He's got to do at least one arm drag. You telling me he couldn't do one?
Maybe one.
Yeah. Now that you just laid that out, that would have been a lot better. I didn't think anything was wrong. I didn't think anything was wrong with the way they used them backstage, but it just would have been better if they did it in front of the live crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that's a legend, man. Like you're not gonna get Ric Flair to come out and just be like, "Woo!" in a backstage segment. No, like you get Ric Flair to come out there to pop the crowd, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It wasn't the best
Uh,
crowd though in Charleston, West Virginia. Let's be honest.
no,
It looked like the impact zone in there. Man, it looked like the impact zone in there. There wasn't nobody there, man. they, they had no they had no people in the upper deck. It's just darkness.
I I wasn't paying attention to it to
Oh,
be
I
honest with
did,
you.
and there's a reason why they keep on going back to Chicago. It seems.
Man, get out of here. Next up, we had the Varsity Blondes versus the Gun Club. My God, what did the Varsity Blondes do to anybody?
I,
Dude, they
I
got beat in like 35 seconds.
man, I kid you not. I got up to make nachos. I came back and the match was over. Like I don't know what happened. Who got pinned?
Griff, they beat I don't even think Brian got in the match.
I don't know, man. They took their valet. They haven't won a match on TV in 2 years. Uh, Brian got verbally chastised by MJF, Jabron. I don't know, man.
They need to split them up. I'm telling you, when we were at Ric Flair's last match, Brian Pillman Jr. looked like an entirely different person
Wait,
as a
he was there?
heel, and he was enjoyable. Well, you were in the
I was
popcorn
about to
line.
say I don't remember him being there. Didn't we run into him?
Yeah, yeah, we did walk by him.
He didn't look like
But
anything
anyways, oh, get out.
good.
Uh, Billy grabbed a mic after the match and he says that this is exactly what the gun should be doing. He says that he's so proud of his boys and that this is one of the best moments of his career. Stokely Hathaway then walks out and the guns just started beating the piss out of Billy just for absolutely no reason. I mean, I guess they've been building to it a little bit, but it was very random.
You never wanted to beat up your dad, Micah? You tell me you never want to beat up your
Oh man, we gotta we gotta
dad?
touch on the family issues. Um, and then the Acclaim run down to save him as the Gun Club flees through the crowd, and Bowens holds the scissors up, and
He scissored him.
he scissored him.
Yes, he did. Commentators were not taking it serious at all. Kind of checked me out of it when Taz and JR are laughing and telling jokes about it. Like we shouldn't take this serious. But Billy recovered so quickly. Like he wasn't hurt. Like you think something traumatic like your son's turning on you would have him like rattled or shell shocked, but no. He just came out. Bowens and Caster scissored him. Daddy A double S is a part of the Acclaim now.
Yeah, I, we talked about it earlier, and I just feel like he should have. I mean, that's your kids at the end of the day, and he's watched them grow up or
They just
whatever. I
beat him
really
up.
doubt in 15 seconds you're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna scissor this guy. Like, come on now. They should have had Billy just be like horribly distraught, and the Acclaim and him just kind of stare off or whatever, and they could have helped him up and walked him to the back or
Yeah,
whatever. Just kind of been there for him as Billy's like, what the heck, man. And then next week pre-tape or something, and then have I guess like maybe the Acclaimed and the Guns doing something, a match or whatever, and then have Billy come and help them out, or just have them come out to fight the Guns, and then they like pause at the entrance ramp or something, and then Billy comes out to join them. So it's like a gradual thing.
yeah.
But dang man, let something breathe. Like I liked this. Don't get me wrong, but it just was so fast.
Yeah. The Acclaimed are over too.
Yeah. And I mean, I've enjoyed this feud for the most part. We both liked the dumpster match. I liked when they were all together in a group, and I'm fine with Billy being with the Acclaimed. Just should have let this one simmer a little bit, and that's usually our gripe with AEW is It's super fast paced
The
constantly.
same with Starks and Hobbs when they went through like 3 weeks of build in 3 segments. Same with that.
Yeah.
They have this thing where they hot shot stuff like right then and there when you could have built up money to that. I don't know, man.
Well, speaking of not building up money, Sanjay, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh were in the back, and basically Sanjay was all pissed off about them getting beat up last week, and Sanjay challenges them. Uh, Sanjay challenges FTR Wardlow to a trios match at All Out. So we've got the hottest tag team in wrestling
Yep,
and one of the hottest young stars back in May,
sure.
and we're gonna put them in a tag team match at All Out. That means absolutely nothing.
Booker of the year, 2 times.
And don't get me wrong, I love FTR. I love Wardlow.
No, no,
I love Jay Lethal.
you cannot justify this.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Like I like all these guys, but this is not the way to do this at all.
Left a lot of money on the table with the, and I saw something that the TNT title hasn't been defended on pay per view since All Out last year.
Yeah.
You dog WWE for not defending the IC title on pay per view. What about the TNT title? What about,
Well, it wasn't that bad up until this point, but now I completely agree.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Let's not give Wardlow a marquee feud. Let's just have Jay Lethal and Wardlow build up to their first meeting together. No, let's do that at Battle of the Belts that nobody's gonna watch. Let's not have it at the next pay per view that we could have built money up to. Let's not have FTR and the Young Bucks have that one last rubber match where all the gold's on the line that could have headlined the pay per view. Let's not have that. Let's have them in trios match. Let's have the pinnacle reunite for one night only to face Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal.
And let's not act like the Pinnacle was great to begin with.
No,
The Pinnacle is one of the worst what ifs in wrestling ever. That group had four guys and a legendary tag team manager. I'm not saying Tully's just a great manager either, but my God, what a star studded group that meant absolutely nothing 2 months in.
no,
And this is not the way to do this, man. FTR is losing their heat or their momentum every day that they continue to be pissed off doing absolutely nothing every week. Wardlow has never meant less when he had the entire world behind him. Wardlow got the biggest pop of the night when we were there at Revolution.
yeah, he did.
And now what? He's just another cog in the machine. Uh, we'll move on. Jungle Boy came out with a shirt that he said, or he came out last week with a shirt that he said this week he was asked to never wear again on TV because it said Christian was a
But what? How are
explicitive.
we supposed to know what it said? I mean, he could have said like the shirt said this, but
Well, he probably is not allowed to say the word on TV
he said it
either.
on TV last week.
Yeah, but I don't think he was supposed to.
Didn't he bleep it out though? So was it really that big of a deal?
Well, but Moxley said, F yourself one time and it didn't get believed. They probably just didn't catch it in time.
Isn't there like a 3 second delay to all this?
I mean, I'm sure, but I mean, come on now. We know AW's production team isn't 100% all the time.
Can I just say that the NXT show that I watched yesterday, they bleeped out the crowd when they were chanting, like holy. They actually bleeped out the crowd. I've never seen that, but they bleeped out the crowd every time they chanted that, and they chanted it for quite a while, so it was just kind of off-putting.
Wow, yeah, I've never heard them blur that crowd chant at least. Even if they're chanting like, F whatever, they never blur that out.
Exactly.
Hmm. Well, anyways, Jungle Boy says that he's tried everything to punish Christian for what he said, and he's going to keep trying until he mans up and fights him at all out. Christian then interrupts him, saying that he refuses to meet him in the ring. He states that Luchasaurus is suspended for his actions last week. Says that he's came a long way uh, to come this far and venture out here on his own, with no security or anything, with all the things that Jungle Boy has done to him. So, he's like, just let me in the ring or whatever. He says that this is all just a big misunderstanding. All this got blown way out of proportion when emotions are running high after that tag team match. He says at the end of the day, we're a family, and he does truly love Jungle Boy like a son. Jungle Boy ponders for a while, and then he just starts beating the crap out of Christian, and they start wailing on each other. Christian tries to flee, and then Jungle Boy, catches him. He tries to flee again, and then Jungle Boy runs after him as Christian catches him off guard, and then he takes the upper hand for a minute. Jungle Boy quickly recovers, throwing him into the stairs, and then sets his arm up on top of the stairs, and jumps up and stomps down on like his bicep that's crushed in between the stairs. As security then runs down to break it up. I thought it was a fun segment. Jungle Boy's obviously he's no MJF or Punk,
No,
but hey man, he's not as bad as he used to be.
he kind of got rattled here with the what chance. You didn't see him when he kind of like stopped. He didn't know,
Yeah,
like he had a planned statement that he had to make. I he could have handled the what chance a little better than
I mean he didn't handle him like our boy Theory, but
that.
it wasn't bad.
At least Theory could actually. I mean, he actually responded to the what chance. He didn't like just completely ignore them.
I guess that's true. I just overall I thought it was a good segment. I think this will be a good match. I'm more curious now where they go after the fact
I'm all in.
with Christian.
Yeah, I'm all in on Christian.
Well, he's gonna lose. Like, I mean,
That's man. There's so much more money on the table with a heel Christian than a babyface Jungle Boy at this point.
I'm fine with Christian losing if they can set him up to succeed. Because, I mean, MJF has lost a few big matches, but he's succeeded after the fact. And Christian's one of those guys
Has
that could do that.
yeah, where's he at? Where's he been?
Oh, come on now.
He lost all his pay per view matches, man.
Anyways, Christian could lose this and still be successful. The problem is, what's going to happen is Christian's just going to be off TV for another 3 months after this, and then we're all going to forget this great run that Christian's been having.
No, no, you got to look at the swerve, bro. Luchasaurus ain't touched Christian. Maybe this was all a ploy. Maybe we get
I mean,
maybe we get Tyson Tonko reincarnated with Luchasaurus.
I hope that's what I hope for the beginning, but they killed those hopes and dreams pretty
Hey,
quick.
let's see where they go. I remember you mentioning this a while ago. Maybe they're listening to the podcast.
Hey man, maybe we got some. Maybe those listeners we do have are important
We know
listeners.
Starks and Wardlow are fans. What matters?
Next up, speaking of, we had FTR and Wardlow in the back. Cash says that they accept their challenge and that nobody messes with the Pinnacle without hearing back from them. Dax then challenges Jay Lethal to a match next week if he still thinks that he's the best in the world as he used to be regarded as. I mean, it just aggravates me because like all these guys, they look like money. They look like stars. They are stars. And I'm sure Dax and Jay will be a great match next week. But it's just they could have been so much more leading into this pay-per-view.
Yeah, as well, we got into it. It's a lot of money left on the table, but the FTR cut a okay promo here.
Yeah. Uh, we'll move on to the co-main event. Kylie King versus Tony Storm.
This was
This was an alright
what?
match.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't bad. I thought Kylie looked okay.
Did she? I'm okay. You know what? I'm not even gonna fake this, Mike. I didn't watch this match. I didn't watch this match at all.
Yeah, and you were trying to sit here and talk down on it. Look, you just a blind AEW
I
hater.
don't want to. I didn't want to see this. I had no man. Tony Storm sucks. Kylie King
Tony Storm sucks.
sucks. I seen what she can do in the ring. She sucks. It was not a big. It was not a big. That's the reason we cut her so easily. I say we like I'm in the boardroom. The reason WWE cut Tony Storm, man. She's not that big. She's not. She's not good in the ring. She can't cut good promos. What can she give you?
Well, I respectfully disagree. I think she's okay in the
Oh,
ring.
okay. What's your
I
favorite
thought
Storm
Kylie,
match, Micah? Great Storm
uh,
segment that you remember. Come on, man. Come on, man. You're just a blind AEW apologist. Tony Storm sucks.
no,
Tony Storm
she's not that bad.
sucks, man.
She's better than most of the AEW women's roster. She's better than.
Well, that's like being the world's tallest midget. I mean, yeah. I mean, who cares, man?
Well, I can't even get out any good comments. Anyways, we'll move on to the main event. Tony picked out the win. Tony versus Rosa is gonna be at the pay per view. That'll probably be a good match.
I won't be watching.
I didn't figure you would, anyways.
Yeah, tell me.
Um, and then
Oh
finally
boy.
we got
Go ahead and pronounce that name.
pronounce what name?
Are you talking about the trios title tournament quarterfinal? What wasn't that the next thing?
Oh yeah, it's the main event.
All right, so what's that group's name
Um,
that the elite was facing?
oh, I don't know what you're referencing. Los Ingobernables.
Okay, that was not bad. That was pretty good.
Yeah, hey, I try to be well versed. I try to be a good
Look at
host.
you, Excalibur over here.
Tope Suicida. No, I'm just playing. Uh, Roosh, Dragon Lee, and Andrade versus the Elite. The Young Bucks make their entrance, and their mystery tag partner is the worst kept secret in AEW history next to CM Punk. The Cleaner, the best bout machine, the man, Kenny Omega, is finally back after, I think, 8 or 9 months. Glad to see him back. I know you're not a big Kenny proponent. I like Kenny. I don't love the Bucks, but Kenny feels like a main eventer, and we've been needing some main eventers around here for a while in AEW. It was a typical Bucks match. Cool spots, obviously. They played into Kenny being rusty. At one point, they held Kenny on the barricade as Dragon Lee flew through the middle rope into him, and they fell out into the crowd, which was, I thought, a really dangerous spot to be having for a guy who just came back. Plus, all it takes is some 8-year-old girl to get cartwheel kicked in the head, and Tony's paying all of his AEW royalty money to that child and her family.
That was a damn
Um,
spot. It was nasty.
uh, Kenny landed the one-winged angel on Dragon Lee as the Elite picked up the win. Obviously, like I said, glad to see Kenny back. After the match, there was like 30 seconds left with the show, and Andrade just pulled Dragon Lee's mask off, hammerlock DDTs him, and then JR's like, "All right, we gotta go." Show closed.
I was asking, was your was your issue with how the segment ended so abruptly, or that they turned on Dragon Lee literally the first time we seen him on Dynamite?
A little bit of both. Like one, it was very random and so abrupt. Like you didn't even get to see anything, and it shouldn't have happened on Kenny's return. Like no offense to Dragon Lee and all them, but like this is his first appearance on Dynamite. Like, why? If you didn't watch that Ring of Honor show, why do I care? You know
Okay,
what I mean?
so in the beginning of the match, he shook hands with everybody on the elite, and it looked like Andrade was mad about that. So I mean, they did tell a subtle story there. However, it was very quick and all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Well, it's just like his first appearance,
Yeah, I
and
don't beat this guy up. I just seen him.
yeah, and it's Kenny's like return.
I don't care. Maybe he deserved it.
Yeah, maybe they know something I didn't. But yeah, man, it's Kenny Omega's return. Like, just let them have a good look on the way out. And
No, Omega did not have a good look with that shirt.
oh,
I
come
didn't.
on.
I didn't like that.
Well, overall, I mean, I think it's a good thing Kenny's back. I don't really care about these trios titles. I think it's a waste. But
It
I mean,
robbed the FTR Bucks match at All Out. The trio ship.
no, you know they didn't want to be. You know they didn't want to be jobbed out.
Yeah, they can't handle that.
Well, overall, I thought it was a fun episode of Dynamite. It lulled a little in the second hour, but I enjoyed the ending.
The second hour was boring, man. I fell asleep on the main event, Micah.
That's just because you're not a Kenny fan.
Okay, I'm not gonna fight you on that one.
I mean, I'm just saying, I enjoyed it because Kenny came back. I'm excited for next week with the Punk Moxley stuff, but yeesh, I don't know. With all the news coming out, we'll see how these next few weeks turn out. And if Mox wins, we riot.
What if this is all like not a work at all? They just hot shot the belt off Punk, and we just like never see Punk again after that. He just gets MJF'd.
Like, I man, I don't even want to think about that. If that happens, like, and say they just take the belt off of him, and that's Punk's last match, like ever.
Like it was. Remember what happened with Cody, man? It was so quick. Like they took the title off of him, and that was it. You saw him one more time after that, and everybody swore it was a work until he showed up at WrestleMania.
I don't even want to think about that. That's
Would
like the
it?
worst story. That's the worst timeline.
It wouldn't be the. I mean, out of all the stories that came out this year, I would. That wouldn't be the hardest to believe story that Punk would just take his ball and go home like that,
I would I would believe that more than I would that Cody would have went back to WWE.
or that Vince McMahon would step down.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I truly feel like both companies are heating up. Obviously we've got some issues on both, but I mean it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. I'm excited for winter.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, man. They're heating up for the fall season.
Yeah, and we'll see where things go with Punk and Moxley, and hopefully we can get, some main event stars back in and some meaningful feuds. But until then, this has been the Scoop Slam podcast. Join us back next week, or not next week, actually, since we've reformatted. Join us back later this week for the SmackDown and the Scoops of the Week episode.
And
Uh,
maybe Rampage, maybe.
yeah, anyways, come on, man. What's on that show that you're watching?
Okay, just SmackDown, you guys. We're just gonna
We'll throw Rampage in if they actually do a
we'll,
good show.
we'll read the results. We gotta keep up with that storyline of Parker Bordeaux and um, Spicy J and
I
Arya Davari. I don't know what those guys' name.
see.
What's the guy's name? I don't know what the other guy's name is.
Sunny Kiss.
No, Sonny Kiss is a part of it, but there's another guy with like a backwards hat.
That's Slim J.
Slim J. I call him Spicy J.
Spicy J is Sunny Kiss. But I guess we'll just have to see what's on Rampage, and if we do want to watch it, we will. But like I said, we'll be back later this week. SmackDown Scoops of the Week. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ScoopSlamPod. YouTube now, we're available. We post smaller clips there, and that's just Scoop Slammed. And until then, we hope you have a good rest of your day, and thank you for listening.
Peace.